In the last slide, I mentioned what a mini lesson is, and we have talked about mini lessons in the past, but when it comes to comprehension, and especially comprehension about text genre, text features, or text structure, it is important that when we have that mini lesson to explicitly teach something in this category, that we use what we call mentor texts. Mentor texts are books or poems or even excerpts from a book or a poem that gives boys and girls real text and real language to either discover a skill or to be taught a skill that we've talked about throughout this presentation. I've given you a lot of information in this presentation this week to teach you about all the things you'll need to teach boys and girls. And so this slide is really talking about how do we do that. So here's some things that are going on in classrooms when it comes to mini lessons about comprehension of text features and text factors. First of all, before you read, you need to make sure that you are previewing the text. You're letting boys and girls predict what kind of structure it will be, predict if it's a fiction or a nonfiction or a poetry book, giving them the opportunity to take some chances and get to think about these things. Also, during reading, we want to point out or allow boys and girls to point out these text features or text structures that we're finding, especially if you're working with text structure. That would be how we're organizing these books to help us understand them. We want to use graphic organizers, maps and charts to point out the information and to help us retell it at the end. And so a lot of the things that you'll be doing will be done during reading, and we talked a little bit about this last week. On our page here, I have some mini lesson examples going on, and I want to highlight that a lot of what you're going to do in the area of mini lessons is going to be the I do, we do, you do model, which means the teacher is going to point things out, show things, think aloud. We talked about that strategy last week. Often, and you're modeling and demonstrating one particular area at a time. Then you'll work together in a shared way. So you'll do similar activities together. And then last, you're going to gradually release the students into that you do model, where they're trying things out on their own or in small groups. Now, the bottom left is a video of a 4th grade or a 3rd grade classroom, and the teacher has been teaching them about text structure. And you can see in action what we just learned about in our slides on text structure. And what they're doing is they're listening to an excerpt, and then they're applying what they've already learned and trying to decide what text structure the story is, and then prove it, and then move from there. So check out that video. It's only about 5 minutes, and watch it to the end, and you can see how a teacher would really be interacting with students while they're teaching this. Directly above the video is the little white text feature mini cards. This is actually a resource for you if you'd like it. Click on that picture and it will take you to a direct link to those cards that you could save or even pin on Pinterest. And those are cards that have definitions that you could make on a little key ring for students. And that actually leads us to bump over one picture to the very top right corner, and we have nonfiction text features scavenger hunt. And this is one of those activities that you could do as a we do or a you do kind of activity, where we're giving boys and girls an appropriate text. So we have to make sure that it's on their reading level. And this may mean you're working in groups with different texts across the classroom. But you give them the little key ring of the kind of text features you want them to find, and then you will give them a book, and they'll have to find those and cite those to show that they are actually applying it and understanding why it's there, and also not afraid to use that text feature. We definitely do not want boys and girls skipping over these text features, because those are meant to make us understand the text easier and give us more information. And if students just skip over them and don't find the importance of them, then they're missing out, and their understanding again will suffer. Now, the last two photographs are just photographs, but they're of boys and girls in that you do independent mode. And what they're doing is they all have nonfiction texts, and they're looking through a book on their reading level, and they're making what we call a foldable. If you can see the green construction paper folded part, it has a definition on the outer flaps, and they're cut, and then on the inside is on the outside is a vocabulary word, on the inside is a definition, and as they find that text feature in their book, they fold it closed and they cover it up. So they're looking at the different choices when the foldable is open, and then as they find something, they can close it. And this can be done as a scavenger hunt. It's also, once you make it, a great resource if boys and girls are having trouble understanding what to do with that text feature or naming them, to come back to. That foldable can stay in their desk. So these are some areas that we would use mini lessons, again, before, during, and then sometimes after revisiting, to make sure that they're understanding the genres of text, make sure they're understanding the structure within the text, and make sure they're understanding the features of the text. If they don't understand all three of those, then they will not be able to understand the book as well. So this simplifies learning for them once they have a grasp on these. And these will go hand in hand with everything that we talked about last week about the reader side of comprehension. This is where the reader side and the text side come together and become intertwined to work as a team. And later on, we'll talk about how we take these sides and everything we learned today, and we transition that into having the students be writers using text genre, text structure, and text features. And we'll cover that on our week on writing.